Your money should work as hard as you do. Join us on Classic FM for a refreshing conversation on building, managing, and preserving wealth the smart way. From practical financial insights to expert perspectives that help you plan for today and secure tomorrow. This is a show that puts your financial future first.
That is right. The show that puts your financial future first. It's called Wealth Management and You. And as usual, I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Raphael Emenyon. Raphael, had an okay weekend?
Yeah, I did. That's not played. No, you didn't play. Good evening, Chico.
Is this going to be a thing every time that we come back on a Monday? We're going to look back at what happened on the football pitch.
It's a good way to introduce the program.
Anyhow, on the show today, no, we didn't play. We're not playing for a bit. Our topic is crypto and digital assets. Crypto is something I don't understand, so I'm looking forward to today's show, just so as I can.
Me too.
So as I can really sort of get into it. And so if you've got any questions, today is the day that you just throw them across, because we have an expert in the studio who'll be able to break it down for you in the way that you understand it. We'd like to say a warm welcome to the show, the CEO, Luno Nigeria, Ayotunde Alabi.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Happy to be here.
Yes, and I'm not like Mehdi Hassan at all. This is going to be nice. Okay, so,
I have no past.
as I said, we're discussing crypto and digital assets on the show today. So let's start from the very beginning, I suppose. Give us the definition of crypto. I mean, cryptocurrency. Is Bitcoin crypto, for instance?
Absolutely, it is the number one cryptocurrency.
Okay.
And so you're not really a novice in that, because obviously you've identified Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency. But broadly speaking, cryptocurrency is a digital currency,
Yes.
right, that exists on the internet and is backed by the sort of like cryptography and blockchain technology. So unlike the traditional, currency that you have that is issued by the central bank,
Yes.
this kind of currency is decentralized, is not owned by one single entity, and is backed, so it's on the internet, but it's backed by technology called blockchain technology.
Okay. Natural currency, the money currency
Yes.
that most nations have is backed by gold reserve, in a manner of speaking. Somewhat. Well, that's my understanding of it. Am I wrong? Are we just printing money? And
Yes. Well, so so not essentially, right?
Okay.
Not necessarily. So gold is some like a form of reserve that is not like a value reserve for like countries. It's not essentially backing the the currency that is being issued in the country. And the country, if the currency is issued, it is backed by the full faith of the government, right? And so the government determines exactly how how much they think is suitable to be in the system at any point in time. So it is not backed by gold per se, but gold also is almost like a reserve that most countries keep just in case of volatilities. So it's still like a store of value for countries, but not essentially. So currencies are not local or fiat currencies are not sort of like backed by gold.
Okay. Let me ask my question in a different way.
Okay.
And I, whenever I'm doing what I'm doing, I see these glances coming from Rafa. I'm never quite sure whether it's that. How come Chico doesn't quite get it, or whether it's that he's taking this is in they carry me go where I know.
Yeah.
But here's what. So to get on the cryptocurrency ladder, if you like, or to get in there to start to invest or to even save in crypto, right? I'm going to do it using regular money.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So I've got regular money and I'm going to buy crypto with my regular money.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then I'm in there and I'm what? I'm speculating with the with the current crypto?
All right, so there are two ways to have, to get cryptocurrencies, right? Let's look at Bitcoin, for example.
Yes.
Right, you can, at this point in time, you can buy Bitcoin with, your currency, your local currency like Naira or USD or wherever you are, or you can mine Bitcoin, right? So there's something called mining on the blockchain where you show something like your proof of work, you solve some mathematical problems, with a lot of sort of like energy in terms of sort of like electricity, energy, and stuff like that. You use that to solve a cryptographic problem, and then you mine the Bitcoin on the blockchain, and then you get it. But it's a difficult journey, right? And the time for mining Bitcoin, effectively in a profitable manner, is sort of like waning at this point in time. So, the simple answer to your question is yes, you can use local currencies to buy Bitcoin. It's the easiest way to get into cryptocurrency at this point. Yeah. I understand the look. And I was hoping I would not get here. Yeah.
Okay, let me. So, is crypto a currency or it's an asset?
Well, cryptocurrency,
Or is it an asset class? Or is it a currency?
so it could be an asset class, and it could also be, a form of a medium of exchange. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Right. But the underlying truth is that it is a digital asset or currency, depending on the use case, depending on how you use it. That is what describes or ascribes sort of like a nomenclature to it. So there are two kinds of cryptocurrencies that we have now. I think the broad different two categories of cryptocurrencies that we have. We have cryptocurrencies that are like coins, that are just, but they're not tracking anything. They're just existing based off of the utility of what they can do, right? And there's some coins called stable coins. Now those stable coins are, the way they are created, they are tracking a local currency. So in the US, for example, there's a stable coin called USDT, right? USDT is the digital form of USD, and what that coin does is to facilitate sort of like remittances faster, right? Because everything happens at the speed of light on the blockchain. So the difference between USD and USDT is that whilst if you wanted to send USD from Nigeria to China, for example, you would have to go through the banks, and then the banks would have to go through the intermediary banks, and then that would take about maybe like 3 days or 4 days to get there. But USDT is the form of the digital currency that you can send that USDT, which is also 1 for 1. When you compare to USD, you can send it in less than 5 minutes to China, right? So what it means is that, and that's why a lot of people are in love with stable coins and cryptocurrency, as the case may be, because it is faster, it is more efficient, and it's cheaper actually to also send monies, or remit monies anywhere in the world.
So would you say that crypto is here to stay? Crypto is the future. It will replace traditional money, or is it a fad that's just going to go away at some stage? Is it the future?
How I like to view cryptocurrency and the blockchain technology is that it is going to upgrade the financial system of the world. It isn't going to replace the banks. The banks are going to be they're going to be like the old guards, right, in terms of the financial stability and how financial institutions would operate. They will be like the foundational sort of like institutions, and they are going nowhere. But cryptocurrency would be what would make that system to be more efficient. The infrastructure and the rails that supports faster remittances, faster payment is going to now have to ride on the blockchain technology. What we currently have today is a system that was good when it was the only option, but would have to give way to a better and a bit more efficient way in terms of how we remit funds and everything. And that's where the stable coin via the blockchain technology sort of comes in. You can send money in 5 minutes for a fraction of the cost versus having to wait 5 days for the monies to get to where it's going to, by which time it might be too late, or it might not meet, prices might have moved, things might have happened, and that's why a lot of people are, sort of like getting into the space. To your other question, whether it is here to stay, I think yes, it is here to stay. It's so big right now that it cannot be denied anymore. Governments are instituting policies to ensure that it is regulated. Nigeria, for example, recently passed the ISA Act, which is the Investment and Security Act of 2025, that sort of like broadly gives the regulatory sort of like oversight function to the Security and Exchange Commission. And so, again, other countries as well, in South Africa, in Kenya, in Malaysia, in Uganda, I think recently, I think it was in Senegal as well, this morning, I've just passed the bill to also ensure that this sector is being regulated effectively. So it is here to stay, is, the long and short of the story.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when you say it's a digitized asset, now today the other asset classes, stocks, and the other asset classes are also being digitized.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between the two and how they operate?
Fundamentally, yes, in the sense that your traditional assets, like the bonds and the stocks, are backed by an underlying backed by sort of like an underlying instrument, or they represent an underlying instrument. For example, bonds represent debt or debentures, right, by the federal government or by an institution.
Yeah.
Right.
Stocks, for example.
So what's the end game? And for me, I can only but look at this thing from the perspective of the extent to which I understand money and what money can do for me, right? So I make money and I'm going to look for where to invest my money, so my money is working for me. And that's the traditional way of thinking about money. So I'm going to look at assets and things that either would appreciate. So if I pay 10 million for it today, in a few years it's going to be worth 100 million or whatever it is, and then I can turn that over and whatever it is and invest in something worth 100 million. That's how I understand it. With crypto, what's the end game? If I wanted to buy a property, for instance, and I've been running or investing in, do I just buy it and go and sit down and sleep and somebody's managing? How does it grow, and do I get to where I can change it back to? I mean, if I wanted to buy a house and I went to someone and said to them, listen, I want to buy this property and I've got 100 million in Bitcoin. My friend, just wait.
Which one is Bitcoin?
So I'm just trying to, I'm trying to put it in perspective such that I'm able to understand whether this is something that's worth one's while, right? Or it's something that you just do, I've got this spec, let me just wait there and see what happens kind of thing.
Okay.
Because the only reason I turn money over or I do anything with my money is because I want to make a profit. I want to be able to continue to grow my money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, look, let's put this scenario.
Okay.
The year is 2009.
Yes.
And Bitcoin was less than $5.
Okay.
Right. Fast forward to 2024, and one Bitcoin. Okay, so in 2009, after a year, I think Bitcoin became, about $1 or so. And so
for one Bitcoin.
One Bitcoin.
Yes.
$1, right? $1. And on to 2010, I think, one pizza restaurant decided to accept Bitcoin, and that person bought a box of pizza for $10, and so the person accepted 10 Bitcoin as as the price in dollars for the pizza. Fast forward to 2024, that one Bitcoin, or those 10 Bitcoin, were now worth $1.4 million. So, in essence, what I'm saying is that there are different ways to look at it, right? You can look at it from an investment perspective as well, and that's the approach that a number of people have taken, right? From a Bitcoin perspective, and also
Yes, so it's worth $1.4 million. That's what the Bitcoin is worth. the person, the pizza guy, is now worth $1.4 million in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But what can that $1.4 million in Bitcoin do for that person? Can
Yeah.
they then use it to buy a property?
Absolutely, because for every
But only from somebody who will agree to
no
accept Bitcoin.
no for
Okay.
The 1.4 million is now in the normal currency.
no so the Bitcoin 10 BTC is what they have essentially,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
Just like when you buy stocks and then you buy a million units of the stock, the unit is still 1 million regardless of the price,
The value.
regardless of the value, right? So what in bit, I understand the question you're asking. So on exchanges, like all the exchanges,
Yes.
there's always going to be a pair. So Bitcoin, in the way that it's traded, always trade in pairs. So it trades for Bitcoin, for example, in Nigeria we trade Bitcoin NGN, which means that you can use Naira to buy Bitcoin, and then you can also spend Bitcoin to get Naira on the exchange.
Okay.
There is that. So whatever your
That's what happens in Nigeria
yes,
today.
that's what happens in Nigeria today. So for example, if you
Yes,
come,
but that's in that community, in that cryptocurrency community, not outside of it.
no, so in the crypto balance, right? There's what we call on ramping and off ramping.
Okay.
If you have, for example, I told you that there are two ways to get Bitcoin. You can either mine Bitcoin or you
Yes.
can buy Bitcoin.
Yes.
Right. The value, what you have is Bitcoin, but anywhere, for example, in any jurisdiction that you are in, you can definitely find a pair that will be suited to the local currencies that you need at that point in time. So there's BTC USDT, there's BTC NGN, there's BTC CAD, there's BTC Euros, there's BTC GBP, everywhere you are. And you can move BTC. So, but what you have in your wallet is BTC. You can move it to any exchange that you want sort of like off-ramp from. Is what it is. For example, if I have BTC in Nigeria, I can move it to someone in Canada, for example. They have BTC, and then if they want to sort of like decide to sort of sell that BTC or exchange that BTC for CAD, for example, Canadian dollars, they can do that.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. So if you have $1.4 million worth of BTC, you have $1.4 million. Like actually.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So what drives it? What drives the appreciation? I know at some point as well, some people had cried that they lost money. So what drives the movement?
So first and foremost is utility, right? So we're sort of narrowed and focused on Bitcoin at this point, and there were a number of thousands of coins.
100 million at the 100
thousands
okay.
of coins,
different-
100,000 of
yeah,
coins, right? So the rule of thumb here, if you're thinking about cryptocurrency, is to think about the utility of that cryptocurrency. And there are a number of cryptocurrencies that have real world utility. Some cryptocurrencies are tracking AI. Some are doing fantastic stuff with respect to what we call decentralized apps. Right, it's called dApps. Sorry, a lot of terms flying around, but it backs up like Ethereum, for example. What it does is it is the coin that sort of like shows the infrastructure layer of where people build stuff on the blockchain. So just look for coins or look for currencies or cryptocurrencies that are sort of like backing real world utility, and also in terms of just as you look at stocks, look at the market cap, look at the liquidity, look at all those things. Now, cryptocurrency is a bit more volatile because it trends on sort of sometimes news, sometimes acceptance. It's still an emerging sort of like technology, and a number of countries and jurisdictions are still a bit anxious around it. So for example, if there's positive momentum on news around in the US, for example, in Europe, for example, around cryptocurrencies, then that drives the price as well. Then also there are some instances like world issues that also sort of like drive the price. So it's definitely not going, it's an outlier in terms of how it moves across different, or how it reacts to different news, and that's why a lot of portfolio managers like it in their basket. But it will definitely still behave like a normal investment asset, in that it has the characteristics to appreciate in price and also to drop in price, albeit a bit different from what you have in the normal traditional asset.
It's trading, its appreciation or depreciation in any way linked to perhaps what might be happening with the dollar, what might be happening with oil, like the ongoing war, we're seeing some of the effects
Mhm.
over here already because movement of oil through the Strait of Hormuz
Yeah.
and stuff, and that's reverberating across the world.
Mhm.
Is cryptocurrency susceptible to some of these developments?
It could be, but by and large, the things that traditional assets are susceptible to, cryptocurrency isn't. And that's why a lot of people right now, as most of the assets, for example, are tumbling, right? Cryptocurrency is increasing, right? And it has increased slightly, right?
So it's a good mix to one's
exactly. So a lot of people pack into cryptocurrency for also inflationary, protection and stuff like that,
Yeah.
because it doesn't react in the way that a bond, for example, react to
Yes.
war and
Yes.
oil prices and stuff like that. So it's more or less anti head investment hedge kind of movement.
Behavior.
Yes. So people like use it to balance, portfolio.
So it's a good mix.
Yeah, it is a good mix. Yes, sure.
So is there anyone that supports utility around war weapons, war equipment? Because it looks like that's where money is going to be right now.
No. Well, nobody ever sort of sustainably, develop something for war. War is something that everybody prevents, and so you cannot.
Not necessarily.
What,
Some
no,
people
I mean,
manufacture the weapons.
yeah, I agree with you. What I'm saying is that you can sort of like intelligently predict. You don't have to be in the room or in a close circle for you
That's
to.
because you said we need to focus more around utility.
Yeah.
So that was ours.
So well, look, the way cryptocurrency would behave is around the payment rails, the support. Okay, I'll give you an example. So when the Russia and Ukraine war started, right, and the US sanctioned Russia by sort of like blocking the payments across SWIFT and stuff like that, guess the asset class that was used to move monies to Russia and the likes? Cryptocurrency, right? Because it is decentralized, it is not owned by any government, and so nobody has any say over how money moves and stuff like that. So that's the way that I would look at it. But I don't think that it is practicable for any crypto to define their utility by wars, in that instant, because I mean sometimes they are far and in between. If there's peace, then it is useless.
Wow. In case you just tuned in, this is Wealth Management and You. And we've been discussing crypto and digital assets. And it's really been very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I think I see it as something that we will do eventually.
Would evolve.
Yeah, because
Massive.
yes, it's going to evolve. The lines between traditional currency and crypto, I can see how they could start to blur a bit.
Absolutely, you're right. It's already happening. Yeah, it is happening. We're already tokenizing stocks on the blockchain.
There you go.
We're tokenizing bonds already on the blockchain.
Yes.
We are creating sort of stable coins for local currencies or fiat currencies. For example, in South Africa recently, we just launched a rand-backed stable coin, right, with the banks as partners as well. So we're just scratching the surface of what this technology can do for us, and we're here. We're happy to be in the time where this technology is sort of like unfolding right before our very eyes, and it's interesting.
We've been digging into the wealth of knowledge about crypto and digital assets that the CEO of Luna Nigeria, Ayotunde Alabi, has. Thanks a lot for sharing it with us. Now, we do know that you're a connoisseur of great music, so we're going to ask you to share a song with us that we'll end on, but Rafa usually has the final word on the show.
Just before we listen to your kind of music, just two questions now. What's the impact of the new tax act on crypto? And then tell us a bit about Luna.
All right. Okay. So look, it's still unfolding from an understanding perspective in terms of the impact. of taxing. But what we do know for sure is that as the policy postulates, where capital gains from cryptocurrencies will now be viewed as taxable, a taxable event basically. So stocks, where capital gains from stock is also is falling under that scope as well.
That's right.
So, but again, in the way that the structure will unfold is still a bit not clear at this point in time. But we're working with regulators. We're working with also non-tax consultant to help us understand and clear the murky waters around some of those policies basically. And then the second question around what Luno does. Luno is a cryptocurrency platform that allows access for purchase, for selling, for swapping, for exchanging rather cryptocurrencies and digital assets. We have we have tokenized stocks on the platform. So today you can buy stocks of foreign stocks in the US with Naira at a very at a very cheap entry price for as low as 1,000 Naira, 2,000 Naira, and then you can build that up. You can also buy cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum on the platform as well, and a number of also interesting things that we are doing as well that we're launching very soon. So stay tuned and download the app Luno.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ayetunde Alabi, CEO Luno Nigeria. Just before we take your song, Lagos, Nigeria, tune in next week Monday as we take updates on the Pension Act industry.
That's all on today's edition of the show. Remember, Wealth Management and You comes your way at 5:30 every Monday on Classic FM 97.3. We look forward to you joining us next Monday. Stick around, we'll take a break. On the other side of it, Ayo has chosen Nina Simone, Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. We didn't misunderstand him on the show today at all.
Not at all.